Hello and welcome back to Formula 1 2019 on the TomFM channel. Today we have got the French Grand Prix, which in real life wasn't particularly entertaining, probably the worst race of the season so far. But hopefully today it's going to be a fully entertaining race for us in our Red Bull, and hopefully we're going to be picking up a second win in a row after last episode in Canada. As you can see, we are still 5th in the drivers' standings, 5 points behind Sebastian Vettel, but we are quite a way off Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc in 1st and 2nd, so we need to get some good points in today's race to be able to catch up with them a little bit, and we also need some good points from us and Max Verstappen to make sure we catch up with Ferrari and Mercedes in the constructors' standings, as you can see. So before we get into any other sort of business with the episode, I think I'm going to change an engine part. Down here at the bottom, control electronics, we've got 67% wear on it, and whilst it probably can do another race, it does say down there that a worn control electronics can result in increased wear to other components, and we want to try and save the other components as much as possible. So I think we're going to have to switch to our new control electronics. That's what I'm going to plan to do, at least for today's race and going forward. Obviously, we might have to take a grid penalty later on in the season because we only get 2 of these. I think we'll have to get a 3rd one at some point towards the end of the season. So we are going to take some grid penalties towards the end of the season, I think, for swapping engine parts. But if we do it all in one race, it won't be too bad for us. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, I've missed the news article for it because it came up before practice, but I've already done practice. So I've missed the news article for it, but we have had an engine upgrade. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been oil combustion or it could have been bearings. It was one of the 2 of them that we managed to get done for this weekend. So we've had a slight improvement on our engine. We've still got this oil pressure pump coming in the next few weeks as well, so hopefully that's going to be quite good for us. Next week that will come, and that should be quite a big boost in engine performance, which is quite important before some big tracks like Monza. As you can see though, the engine development is still going pretty well, and all development is going pretty well because we are still apparently the best car on the grid, ahead of both Mercedes and Ferrari. Hopefully we'll see that in results today. So as we head into Q1, if we want to break into the top 15, we need to beat a 1:34.4. So we need to do pretty fast. We need to beat Kimi Raikkonen, of course, and to do that we are going to change the car setup. I've never shown you this before, but sometimes I do change the car setup. We're going to go all the way down to maximum top speed because there's a lot of straights on this circuit, so we need to try and get as much top speed as possible. So we're going to go for the maximum top speed, so not a lot of downforce. Hopefully that'll help us out. So a 1:34 to beat on our flying lap here. The first sector of France, I quite like actually. It's quite a decent first sector. There's 1 or 2 little turns, but there's not too bad. It's quite a flat open track. It has been called the car park, I think, because it literally is just a massive slab of tarmac, like a car park, with some lines drawn on it to make it a racetrack. So there's a lot of runoff area if we do crash. I mean, hopefully we won't crash, but there's a lot of runoff area if we do. So as we come around towards the end of the lap now, we've got some heavy corners right at the end of the lap, but I think we probably have done enough, not to get on pole, but to at least get in the top 15 to get into Q2. I think we've done enough of that as we go quite wide around the final corner, but we open the DRS and we come across the line in 4th position, which is pretty good. With 19 seconds on the clock, no cars are getting ahead of us. I'm pretty happy with that. Into Q2. So apparently at the start of Q2, we've got a little bit of an issue with the car. We're going to be out of action for 7 minutes, but that's not too bad because usually what I just do is just sort of sit through, see what times people get, and with 5 minutes to go, I decide to go out. So this time we need to beat Kimi Raikkonen again, but this time it's a 1:33.8, which I think we managed to beat last time on our lap in Q1. So this should be relatively comfortable to beat. Now, frustratingly, as we are just coming over the start line for our flying lap, we've got 2 cars coming out the pits just ahead of us, which is really annoying. Verstappen is one of them. Our teammate potentially is going to be blocking us here. He's currently in the 4th position. Hopefully he'll stay far enough ahead of us, or he lets us overtake him pretty quickly. But I am a little bit concerned that he's come out just ahead of us on our flying lap. Now, he's got the potential to hold us up on the straights, but also he's got the potential to give us a tow, which he has done there, a little bit of a tow. So hopefully that's going to work in our favour at the end of the lap and get into Q3. So we've just gone purple through Sector 2, which is absolutely fantastic as we come through this high-speed right-hander here, which is quite a difficult one to nail before we come through this real slow right-hander, which, I mean, I'm not on the racing line there at all, but we're back on the racing line now as we come around the final few corners now of this lap. I think we go quite wide there. I think we should have done enough to get into Q3. I think after that corner, maybe not pole, but we were obviously purple through Sector 2, but this 3rd sector I've messed up quite a lot, to be fair. I don't think we're going to be getting on pole, but it doesn't matter yet because there's only Q2. Q3 is where it really matters. As long as we beat a 1:33.8, we are going to be through, and we are through just about. We're in 9th position. You never know with that. We might have to get another lap in just to be safe. Oh, completely, absolutely ruined this lap. We're already a second down on our previous time. We've just got to hope that other cars aren't on a hot lap behind us. But I think they are, because Carlos Sainz is one of the cars that came out behind us, I think. Oh, and Verstappen's already ahead of us, so it doesn't matter too much what he does, really. It's the cars behind us we've got to worry about now. But on the grounds, I'm 1.2 seconds down. And clipping I'm all over the shop. There's no point me even carrying on. I'm going to return to the garage. What's the damage? We just about scraped through into Q3 in 9th position. We are lucky. So we're going to have to go an awful lot faster if we want to get on pole here today in France. Charles Leclerc is currently setting a 1:32.7, which is a lot faster than what we've done so far in qualifying. We're going to have to go and leave it all out on the track in Q3. So as we come across the line to start our flying lap, there's no other cars around us. We've got clean air ahead of us. Fingers crossed, it's going to help us out massively as we come into this first left-hander, a little bit wide, not hitting the apex, and again, not hitting the apex on turn 2. So already an absolutely stellar start to this lap. As we come to turn 3 now, hitting the apex this time. Turn 4, hitting the apex. Much better turns from us there, but I think we might have... Maybe I'm not so good at this first sector. Maybe I thought I was quite good at sector 1, but maybe I'm not, as we are actually down by 0.145 seconds on Charles Leclerc through sector 1, which doesn't sound like much, but in a Formula 1 car, that is an awful lot of time. As we come down this first long straight into this kind of tight chicane, actually, heavy braking into turn, is it 6? That's no, turn 8, turn 9 there. Does this count as turn 10? It might count as turn 10. I don't know if it does or not, if it just counts as a straight. Either way, we're on this other back straight here. We've gone purple through sector 2, which is fantastic. As we come through turn 10 now, it said turn 10 there. Fantastic stuff. I think we've nailed sector 2, and sector 3, I think I can nail it as well. As I think we've done that corner very, very well there. We just have to keep it tidy through these next few corners, unlike we did in Q2 as we come around turn 12 into turn 13. We just have to keep it tidy, and we could be on for another pole position, which would be absolutely fantastic as we really take that corner tight, really good entry and exit from there over the DRS zone. Are we going to get on pole position? Oh, we're not. We are fourth instead, which, I mean, it's not too bad, to be fair. We'll take the second row, but for a while there, I really thought we were on for pole position. So we may not be on the front row, but we are ahead of our teammate Max Verstappen and ahead of our rival Devon Butler. So that is really, really good for us in terms of our rivalry standings. Hopefully, we just have to beat him in the race, get ourselves on the podium. It could be a great day. Right then, so here we are on race day, sitting in P4 behind a Mercedes with 2 Ferraris to our left-hand side as well. Race strategy, 5 laps on the softs before we go 8 laps on the mediums. Or we could go for 2... No, let's go for... It's quicker, this. I can also see on my recording screen that everything's flashing around on the menus. Again, I've not managed to solve an issue for this. I do apologise. It is quite frustrating, because it's frustrating for me editing as well as you watching. I just don't know how to stop it flickering. Like, I'll try and work out how to do it, but I have been trying, and it's not... So if you've got any ideas, let me know, but I don't know how to stop it flickering like this when I'm recording. Maybe the solution is just to download some more RAM. Right then, we've got 5 lights ahead of us. They're all about to go red. And away we go. We actually get a really good start there, I think. I mean, Verstappen's already ahead of us, which isn't great, but we've got quite a good start. If we can just get on the racing line, although Verstappen has managed to really get a great start and get ahead of us. We've had contact with our teammate. Oh, and we're nearly off the track there. And the front 3 have got ahead of us. It's now Sergio Perez in the racing point trying to get ahead of us as we dive it down the inside there. And it's all a bit of a chaos through his first few corners. Very messy from me. Contact with Verstappen, which has cost him places. But we maintain 4th place. Now, obviously, the Force India, or the Racing Point, sorry, has got the Mercedes engine in it. So it's going to be very fast down these straights. We are going to be vulnerable. As you can see, he's already coming ahead of us. But we should have the racing line into the chicane, which we do. He brakes a bit early. We go off the track a little bit there as well. But let's not talk about that too much. Perez has backed off a little bit, but he will get us back down this straight. I think we've made a bit of ground on the cars ahead. I think they were a little bit further ahead of us, but we've made a bit of ground on them. We're obviously quite good through Sector 2. We know we are. We've got the fastest times in Sector 2 in qualifying, which is a bit surprising considering it's all straights pretty much. But we are quite good through Sector 3, I feel, as well. And we're right on the tail of Vettel now, going through some of these corners. I think once him and Hamilton start battling a little bit, Charles Leclerc might be getting away, but I think we're in for a good chance if we can get a good exit off final turn 15. As we do get quite a good exit, to be fair. Perez is sort of dropping off a little bit. I think we are gaining a little bit to Vettel. The gap's 0.978 seconds. I think we're onto them. I think we could be catching them up in the next few corners. I just can't seem to do turn 1 particularly well, or turn 2. We've lost time through there, definitely. That's my fault. I just can't seem to get them right at all, which is quite frustrating. Turns 3 and 4, though, I feel like I can do quite well, as you see here. Pretty much nailing those, in my opinion. I'm probably not at all, but there we go. And we're back onto one of these straights again, which, again, the Ferrari and the Mercedes probably will pull away from us a little bit. This is not quite good. We're going to have to try and hope that the undercut works. We might have to try and vary our pit stops a little bit to try and get some good strategy going, to see if we can get them on the pit stops and things like that. But it's a long race still ahead of us. Hopefully, we can catch up with them. So we're on lap 3 now. We've not managed to catch up with Vettel ahead of us, but our teammate Verstappen has somehow got past Perez and is now right on our tail and has got DRS. We're going to push him all the way to the other side of the track here so we can try and maintain the racing line through the chicane here. He's got to brake real early, and we maintain the position through the chicane by pushing him fairly wide. But again, he's going to come back at us once again down. I'm not sure if he's got DRS down this straight or not. I can't see it open, so I don't think he does. And I don't think he's going to have enough pace to challenge us through this high-speed corner, which is good to see. But we are losing ground a lot to Vettel now. As you can see there, the lap times are dropping from us. So Hamilton, what has just gone on there? Right. What has just gone on there? So we're down here on the racing line. He's off the bloody track, is Verstappen. Verstappen's off the track, and he just turns into us. And then we get ghosted back onto the track. Oh, now this is quite bad. I know I shouldn't do this, but this is completely not my fault. And if it was my fault, I'd be taking full responsibility and let it happen. But it's not my fault. I've done nothing wrong there. Right, this time then, Verstappen trying to go down the inside of us this time. We managed to keep the position, actually. We go wheel to wheel through turn 1 and turn 2. We managed to keep the position, but the more we battle, the more we're going to be holding up. Well, I say holding up. The more we're not going to be able to catch up the Ferraris and the Mercedes ahead of us. And we want to be on the podium here today. The thing is, I'm just not 100% sure how we're going to be catching them up. We have gone green through Sector 1, which is quite good. Obviously, I'm starting to get better at it. But I think, generally, lap times are not quite as good as... He's gone off the track to try and hit us. What is he doing? What is Verstappen doing? Honestly, he's a madman. He's as bad as he is in real life. I'm trying to check my bloody tyres. We're going to go up to the rich mix, definitely, to get a bit more extra speed. Tyres, they're not looking too bad yet. We might try and hold off on a pit stop a little bit. Especially, actually, this lap, we are quite green at the moment. We are up by quite a bit on our previous best lap times, which is quite good, I've got to say. But we need to somehow get away from Verstappen and his antics here, of him just trying to crash into us. I'm not a fan of this at all. Right, so back down the main straight. Apparently I'm meant to be pitting on this lap, but I don't want to pit yet. Although maybe we should do, because we actually were slower on that lap. And we're still not making up ground. Maybe we do pit. Maybe we try and get the undercut going on some of the cars ahead of us. If the Ferraris pit ahead of us, maybe... Oh, I've gone very wide there. And Verstappen is nearly through. I think, actually, maybe if the Ferraris and Hamilton ahead of us don't pit, we pit, try and get them on the undercut sort of thing. Rather than trying to go for an overcut, which I think is what I tend to favour, maybe. Because I'll try to go as long as possible on these tyres. But we are losing ground to them right now. We're in a battle with Verstappen, which we don't really want to be in. I think the undercut could be the way to go, actually. I think we probably will come into pit at the end of this lap. Now, interestingly, actually, both Ferraris... Hamilton and a Mercedes have gone into pit. I think we're going to go into pit as well. It might not be the best idea, but they could hold each other up a little bit. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. We might hold them up, actually. If we go past them, we're not holding up... Oh, we're not holding them up at all. I thought we might have the chance to hold them up. We might get held up, though, as we've got 3 cars... We are being held up. Oh, this really is a bit of a disaster. I should have trusted my gut instinct and waited a little longer. My hope is that maybe Hamilton and Vettel start to hold each other up a little bit. Maybe Leclerc gets held up in the pits next time out, but we've lost ground to them. The cars behind have gained ground on us. That really wasn't the best pit stop for us at all. It's not what we needed. So I've also just had a message come through saying that Verstappen is in the pits. And if he jumps us through pit stops because we got held up, I'm going to be so annoyed at this. You can see there's a lot of activity in the pits. An awful lot of activity in the pits, actually. Now, are we going to come out ahead of Verstappen? That's what we need to know. He's on his way out the pits. I think we actually are going to get ahead of him by quite some distance, actually. I think this could have worked out in our... Oh, it's not worked out in our favour at all. He's jumped us in the pits. He's jumped us. He's done the overcut on us. And it's all because we got held up. And now, Verstappen is ahead of us as well. Importantly, we're ahead of Devon Butler. But this is... Oh, it's a disaster as we go terribly wide and just cut corners. But actually, it has meant we've gained ground on Verstappen, so it's not too bad. We pick up a warning for it, but I don't know. We've got a purple sector 1, which is good. Now, we've got DRS on Verstappen, which is pretty good down this straight. I don't think we're going to have enough to get him, although maybe braking zone. No, we're not going to have quite enough to get him in the braking zone. I braked a bit early there because I thought otherwise we might crash into him, and we don't want to crash into him. As much as we don't like him, and he's crashed into us in this race, we don't want to crash into him to ruin our own race. So we've got to get past him some other way. With hindsight, I think he would have stayed out until lap 7 and gone to pit. Now, maybe I should have actually started on the softs and then moved on to the start of the meet. No, we can't do that, can we? That breaks the rules. We've got the fastest lap of the race, though, which is pretty good. And we are gaining on Verstappen now into turn 1, which we're not going to be able to get past him in because we're just not close enough. And the straight is a bit too short. And we've lost a little bit of ground as I just go wide through those corners. Boys, come on. Right, high-speed corner. We've nearly hit him. Got alongside him. Gone down the inside. We've forced both cars very wide. But we've got the move done, even though we forced him very, very wide. I feel like maybe in real F1 that could be a penalty for us. But we've got the move done on our teammate, and it's now a case of trying to track down, actually, the cars ahead of us, which seem to have got a little bit closer, maybe. I think they're all holding each other up, but I've gone incredibly wide through there. Verstappen's got ahead. He's also going to have DRS, isn't he? Back to square one, Tom. Back to square one. All right, we're back where we were pretty much on the previous lap. Trying to get DRS on Verstappen. We're gaining on him. Not enough, though, as we have to brake heavily going into the chicane to not crash into the back of him. But we will have, well, the slipstream on and down this next straight. No DRS, but this is where we got him on the last lap as we went round this high-speed corner, which he seemed to brake for a little bit. I've not braked for. I'm going again down the inside of this corner. It's not quite paid off there. And once again, here we are, coming down onto the DRS straight. I think we are a little bit closer to him this time, though. I think we might actually get the move done on this DRS straight this time. I think we've got enough about us to get it done. We switch to the right-hand side. We get the move done on the straight, brake into the chicane, and we are ahead of our teammate once again into 4th place. How are we doing for fuel, by the way? We're okay. We'll have to switch down, actually, very, very soon. Oh, just another fastest lap of the race, which bodes well for us. Definitely bodes well for us in our bid to catch up the cars in front of us. But we're on lap 11 of 13 now. I think we've just not got enough time to get them, I don't think. And Charles Leclerc has apparently just taken the lead as well. And of course, Hamilton and Leclerc and Vettel all ahead of us in the championship. We need to be scoring some points today, and we need to score points better than they do in order to try and overtake them in the championship, but it's just not happening. Now, roles the reverse. Verstappen's now got DRS on us. We're going to push him out wide, as we did a couple laps ago. There is contact between us, naturally, but because of that, we do have the line going into the corner. We've defended well there. So as we cross the line that marks the start of Sector 2, we are 5 seconds behind Vettel ahead of us. And we've got a lap and a half to overtake them. It's not happening. Unfortunately, I think we're going to be missing out on podiums today unless they all crash into each other. Verstappen goes for a move on us. We make our defensive manoeuvre, which keeps him behind us. We've just got to stay ahead of him for one more lap, or 1.5 more laps. And we'll have 4th place, which is good. It's where we started. But it's not it's just not quite what we wanted today. We wanted a podium. We wanted the win. Unless they all crash in front of us, it's not happening. Oh, we've actually taken a second out of them on that lap. We were 5 seconds behind at the Sector 2 marker, but now we're only 4 seconds behind. We can see them, which is the agonising thing. We can see them in the distance. 3.6 seconds now. We are taking massive amounts of time out of them. If we had 2 more laps, I think we could do it. I really think we could do it, us and Verstappen. But unfortunately, we pushed Verstappen wide again, as he actually might get the move done on us here. We've got the racing line, though, into the corner. We get him back in the corner, which is good. But, I just wish we had 2 or 3 more laps. I wish we had 2 or 3 more laps. I mean, we're only doing 25% races. Potentially, we could switch up to 50% races. But I think my concentration would just go. Like, I wouldn't be able to concentrate for that long, I don't think. Let alone a full... I mean, I can barely concentrate for 25% races. Let alone a 100% race or a 50% race. So, I'm not going to switch it up. It's just the way racing works sometimes. Happens in real life racing, obviously. If we had a few more laps, we could be able to do it. But unfortunately, we're not going to be able to. It looks like Lewis Hamilton is going to cross the line in first, with Vettel in second in the end, and Charles Leclerc in third. We're going to cross the line in fourth. Our teammate Verstappen in fifth. It's not a bad result, but really, in the grand scheme of things, I thought this was one of my strongest tracks, and we had to win it, and we've not done it, and that could be costly as we try and push towards the championship title. So, despite our best efforts, we stay in fifth in the championship, and actually we have lost ground to Vettel and Leclerc and Hamilton. We've gained a bit of ground on Devon Butler, but we have lost ground to 3 of the other title challengers, which you hate to see. We need to sort this out. Now, in the rivalry, we're actually doing quite well because we've managed to not just beat Verstappen, but we beat Devon Butler as well. We pick up 4 points to their 2 points. That helps us out in the rivalries. That's pretty good. So I'm still being told that I need to upgrade the engine power, which we're going to do as well. We'll upgrade the engine power again. We've got that one coming as well. I don't think we can do any more at the same time, actually. I don't think. Can we do any more? Oh, we can do some more. Okay, we'll get some front wing development as well. That'd be quite good. There we go. That's what we're doing then. So more engine, some more aerodynamics should be okay. So next time out, we are in Austria, which is another strong track of mine, as I mentioned in the last episode. These next few tracks, I feel like I'm pretty good at. Obviously, we've not had quite the result we wanted today in France, but hopefully we'll get it in Austria and in the races after that. There's still plenty of time for us to win the title. It's just going to take some time to do it. So thank you very much for watching today's episode. Hope you have enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll see you next time with me in Austria, where hopefully we're picking up our second win of the season.